Pause.
What happened?
For the first time ever, I didn't hit record.
No.
On the sound? That is the first
On
time.
the sound ever. Yeah.
Gentlemen, to episode 17.
Yeah, roll it.
Take two.
Keep the
Welcome to the TowerCast podcast. We are your towering filmmakers from El Paso and the world. How's it going, you guys? We are your towering hosts, keeping it real like a roll of film, always looking to develop with you listeners. Filmmakers of El Paso and the world. I am Juan Paul Flores.
Your co-host John Eric Castro here, bringing you episode 17 with the best fucking crew
Ever. Eric Sanchez is a part of that crew. Michael De La is a part of that crew. Our captain in command.
Forgot to press.
Hey, some hiccups happened, but
So, by the way, you guys don't know this. This is take two right now.
I know this is take
just
two
happened.
because for a good solid maybe like 5 minutes we were just talking and having a podcast, but for nobody to hear. So yeah, it's
I mean, isn't that the way podcasts really started, though?
yeah, it's like oh, let's have a conversation and then hit record one day. So
Yeah, and then it just came into reality. But I mean, what do you think about it? That's how most podcasts
You
are.
hit record the low.
It's gonna be 5 minutes after it's needed. That's when it's
I know, right?
And we got the superstar of the show, Austin Young. What's going on, Young?
Staying young.
Staying young.
Staying young,
The
man.
Be forever
coronavirus hasn't
young.
hit you yet.
Not yet. I'm gonna be forever young.
At our first take, we were recording, man. We mentioned that.
Speaking of not recording.
I did hit record. Hey, you
Dang
know
it,
what?
Juan.
You know what? I tried. All right. At least it wasn't the audio.
We
You
got
know
the
what I mean?
superstar over here doing
whoa,
your.
whoa, that hurts.
Just kidding.
Okay, yes, no, but we do run a very professional podcast.
Couple of hiccups.
Please.
You see, it's weird.
It's episode 17.
We're gonna put an editing note that says skip to minute 15, so that way it
I know,
goes
right?
back to normal. But yeah, all right.
No, but we were talking about in the first take that the director credit.
The first take that they never heard.
It never happened. Exactly.
Exactly. They can get the visual.
The first take.
The credit for the directors is a man named Taylor. Can you explain what's that about?
So Taylor came about. I remember Carlos fighting me on this. I
don't even think I know.
Are you
this.
recording?
Oh no, I am. I'm just saying. We never mentioned the name of the film. So
yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
we did. That's
Yeah.
right.
In the first take.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we have
Oh my
Austin
God.
Young, who directed and wrote
Ask Reddit.
Ask Reddit.
that's Reddit.
And for whatever reason, the director who takes credit for directing the picture is named Taylor, but it was Austin Young. So I was asking him, what's up with that?
is rap
Again,
name.
this is something that I got a lot of pushback from Carlos. It was just, I don't want to sound pretentious or like
Nah,
an
man, go for
asshole
it.
or anything,
Kind of
but I want my name Austin Young to be known for producing and editing. So Taylor's kind of my alias.
Did you do that with Snowball Effect?
I didn't. I kind of wish I would have. But it's just I want that. If I ever do direct again, that I'm gonna come out again as Taylor.
As Taylor?
Yeah.
You're not the biggest cheerleader for this movie. Why is
Has
that?
anybody ever done that?
Some people have. Yeah, there's a Jimmy Smith, right? Jimmy.
David O. Russell used an alias for a while.
For a while, but not for two different things. For two.
No.
The guy, whoever.
That's interesting, man. That's cool.
It was
I get it.
it was George Lucas, but somebody directed the holiday special. I think it's George Lucas, but he used an alias for that too.
I mean, I don't blame him.
Nobody
for doing
wanted to
that.
be associated with that. Yeah, usually that's what they do. Like, they
Like,
just,
what was that name that Michael told us that a lot of people use in the
I want to
industry
say it's
when they
Jimmy
want to?
Smith or something. or
John Smith?
Johnny, yeah,
No,
something
it
like
was.
that. Something very generic.
Yeah. We'll have to get you guys that info, but see if you can
John
Google that
Doe.
real quick. Get the intern on it.
But anyways, trying to change the subject over here. Austin has directed 2 movies. Snowball Effect. This would be a second movie.
Ask Reddit.
Ask Reddit. How did the idea go about for this, man? Ask Reddit.
So Reddit, if you don't know, it's an app.
It's an app.
No,
Take two.
But you know.
It's a website. I like to call it the birthplace of the internet just because it's funny. I'll see a lot of stuff on Reddit, and then like a week later, I see on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
It's either
But
4chan or Reddit.
yeah, 4chan, but 4chan's more.
Reddit's better. I like Reddit.
Yeah,
Reddit's safer.
A lot of people don't know about Reddit, which is weird.
Yeah, surprisingly,
Like
but
Facebook. No,
that's the
Reddit.
other thing I kind of like about Reddit a lot too. Is it's a lot of people, very internet community oriented people
Shower
there to help
thoughts.
each other out.
True.
Yeah.
Like really, if you ever need advice, find a subreddit on what you need, and you'll get help. And if you don't, just put a post up and somebody will reach out to
Yeah,
you.
there's a bunch of pages where ask.
Yeah.
Ask.
Can you explain the plot to Ask Reddit for us?
So askreddit essentially is this guy who you don't know this until later in the film is crazy. Something's wrong with his head, and he likes to spend a lot of time of Reddit. Oh, he likes to spend a lot of time on Reddit. But with whatever, I don't know, I really didn't give it a specific medical condition, but whatever's wrong with him makes him go through this traumatizing experience, and in his head it never happened.
Is this a personal experience?
No, it's not. Why does everybody keep asking me that? And then like my dad, I casted him
behind every movie.
My dad, I casted him as the dad in the film, and he was like, "Why do you want to kill me? Like, is everything okay?"
It's the hero's journey.
So the alias is Alan Smithy.
Oh, that's what it was.
Alan Smithy.
Yeah.
For directors who don't want to
be associated.
So for Tower, ours will be Taylor.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, again, it's
no, because then all the films that we don't want to associate ourselves with,
Taylor. Yeah, we'll blame it on
I know
Taylor.
everybody's gonna think it was me.
No, starting here on out, it's it's just the guy we made up. No?
Yeah, it's just in case you don't know, Taylor's actually my middle name. So.
Oh, is it really? Oh, Austin Taylor.
Yeah.
So is it just like Cher, just Taylor? No.
Yeah.
No.
Like Cher.
Zendaya.
I like it.
So this movie has a good amount of people in it. We have Kyle Burnett, who played Cody.
He did amazing.
Albert Orozco playing Rudy. Therapist played by Michelle Guerrero. And then Mr. Mills by John E. Young Jr. That's your dad?
That is my dad. This is his
Nice.
second or third role he's been in. Third, because he was in Depth of Field. I want to say he's been in something else. So, funny thing about my dad, and I wish he could have been here.
Your dad's
but
awesome.
He had to work, or else he would have been here with us. But he always told me that growing up, he always wanted to be an actor. That was his dream.
Yeah.
And he always makes a joke that if he would have pursued that dream, we would all be really skinny right now because he would have been broke. But so when we kind of started this out, I was like, hey, I know you always want to do it. I was like, if there's ever a role that's right for you, would you ever be interested? He's like, yeah. So he's been in a couple of our movies, and he's done good when he comes out.
Yeah.
And then he always bugs us, hey, when's my next role? When's my next role? And it's no
as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong here, Austin, but you say that randomly in the house. We gave him a shirt that says cast.
Yeah.
Says,
because we gave him out for Depth of Field.
For Depth of Field, and at the house, he would just randomly be wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
Right? And when he wears the shirt, that's when he's like, hey, so shirt on, when's the next role?
That's fine.
And again, he's a good actor. Don't get me wrong. He's done great when he's acted for us, and it's just if you don't know my dad, if you saw the film, you know what he looks like. He's white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired.
What's wrong with that?
Well, no, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Gee, I really hope he doesn't listen to this episode.
That's like.
But I mean, it's not. I'm not saying he's very specific, but again, he's still really green. He's still working on a lot of.
But he hasn't lost
stuff.
that.
He hasn't lost it. He still wants to do it.
That's
like,
awesome.
I think the fact that we got him in a couple films, he was like, okay, maybe I can do it.
Did you know that when you started your Tower Origins, like when you began?
Yeah, I knew that.
Really?
He's always told me that when he was younger, he wanted to be an actor. And,
Did he ever do anything?
I think he did like a play in high school, but
No commercial or anything?
yeah, no, nothing like that. But so I mean, I've been pushing him, and just it sucks too with his work schedule. He works with the railroad and stuff, so he's very busy most of the time.
Dang.
So he can't really go out and do a lot of indie projects in town
Yeah, that's true.
as much as he could.
That's actually interesting. I didn't know that about your dad.
Oh.
Learned something new.
Talking about Ask Reddit, it's not your genre, is it? Because it definitely.
What is your genre?
360, 180, whatever from the other one.
I mean,
Snowball Effect.
I wouldn't say I have a specific genre again.
It's not a Kevin Smith type of.
Well, I mean, I've done 2 films. One was a
Tusk, I guess.
parody on a biopic. I mean, I don't know what to call it. And the other one, this is
that's
like a
always stuck with
thriller.
me because that was your
a
first one.
biopic type deal, but comedy, definitely.
Yeah.
comedy,
That's always stuck with me.
But I like that about Austin. Like you said, he's only really done 2 films. But Eric gets mad at me for doing this. Eric likes to say, because I always tell people, like Eric's is a horror guy, and I remember it's always stuck in me where one time he was like, you always call me the horror guy. Like, I love stuff other than horror. I'm not just the horror guy.
Because that's all you talk about.
Yeah, like I stereotype him, and that's true. Like, no,
He likes the Princess Diaries.
Yeah, like he likes the Princess Diaries.
He follows the royal family on his
Yeah.
weekends.
But like, everybody has their strengths. Sure, they have a genre they like to do.
Yeah,
but Austin, you can't really put a pin on that. Like, I remember when we first started, he was always into sports films.
That's true.
And
yeah.
I was always like, he's gonna direct a good sports movie one day.
Oh, yeah.
clearly he's
Like
been doing other
drafting.
stuff. You know, like you can't pigeonhole
Like
people
that coach
into
giving
one
a
genre.
speech. I can see Ryan
So I
something
think
like that.
that's fair. Like, don't pigeonhole people into one genre, because don't pigeon people.
That sounds horrible.
That's the word of the day from Carlos.
Don't
There you go.
pigeon people. Like Michael did Poster Girl, right? And that's, like he said, not part
Right.
of his wheelhouse, but it's I think it's that type of thing.
It's interesting because he doesn't like that movie, and I always
Right,
tell him
right.
like that's a really good like
Yeah.
whimsical movie, man. In fact, a lot of my friends listened to the podcast and watched the Poster Girl movie, and they really liked it. So
Awesome.
yeah, that one always gets some compliments. But I mean, shoot, man. Why do you see yourself never directing again? You said that
Well,
you
yeah.
wouldn't. You said that
So
you
you were
well,
talking
I guess
about
we
it.
haven't talked about this on this tape.
Nah,
this
nah.
tape.
It hasn't happened.
I've directed two things.
Flirting with something else.
As some of you may know, if you've listened to multiple episodes of this podcast, I don't consider myself a writer-director, even though I've done 2 films.
Put that comment in there. Tell me what he is.
And
I know.
Carlos gets mad at me, and he's probably going to hit me afterwards for saying this.
We all are.
Chuck a hat at him.
Straight wacko.
I really enjoy editing. That's my true passion, is editing.
He's a master editor, man.
Which the past week in our messages made me realize I'm not. I feel like I'm an old gen editor when it comes.
Nah, man. It's different. Like you said, different.
Yeah,
types.
different styles.
Yeah,
but
yeah. He's talking about your video.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I forgot my thought process.
nah, dude. The thing.
Oh, I got it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
So classic. I'm really, my passion's editing, producing. I do love as well, but directing, just writing and directing. I've done 2 things.
Is it because that's all you see every day, just different types, and you're just like, I can't?
No, it's
Or it's intimidating, or what is it?
my creativity doesn't run wild
Great, what?
like a lot of people do, and to me,
you're the editor. You're
and
the one that has to.
that's the way I am. To me, it's really hard for me to come up with an original story personally. So what I like to tell people, I let my creativity run wild in the editing room, because I can put a story together by having the basis there, but I can't just put one out of
But
scratch.
I would say, from my
like that.
perspective, from my perspective, I see the complete opposite, because I remember when I was on the set to this movie, and I just met you guys. It was like the first movie I helped you guys out with. You had explained to me how you came about with this story, because you were on Reddit a lot.
Yeah.
And you were reading all these creepy stories, and you and I started to exchange a dialogue about how, like,
No
sometimes you get people on Reddit that just vent a little too much, and that's what inspired you to tell this story, was
Yeah.
that you read a really creepy story. So you are creative, man. Like, you have it. I know. Like, I think a lot of the times for artists, like, they'll never see themselves the way other people see them, because they're very much like with the the horse, like blinders, right? But you have us who are your bird's eye view, and what we see, man, is I see you as a creative, especially because when you wrote Snowball Effect, when you did Snowball Effect, like,
Which I love.
I felt the sensibilities of like how like the young Kevin Smith and the Scott Young Mosier, which I know you're a fan of and stuff. Like, you brought that to your work. Like, you kind of, from what I see from the 2 films you've made, you latch onto something that you click with and you run with it. And it really showed that with Reddit. And that's why I like this movie, because, I mean, granted, man, yeah, like, I've directed stuff that, like, I wish I could do better. I didn't have an amazing team. I know if I had you guys, it would look way better, would sound way better. But, like, you, man, you're lucky, dude. You're awesome. Like, you have this amazing team, and you've been a producer for all these films, so you know your shit. And
he's always on point with the
you're always
releases,
on point, man. Exactly.
Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah, exactly.
YouTube, Facebook,
Exactly. Yeah,
bam,
you put in work, man. And
We may have talked about this in the Origins episode, but when Austin and I first met, Austin only wanted to be an editor.
Mhm.
And I'm the one that was like, nah, you're going to be a producer, you're going to be an AD. Like, you got these,
That's why
like,
we all love Carlos, man.
you got this, like, skills of, like, organizing. Like, I saw it from there. I was like, I think you can produce. I think you should produce.
And he's a great producer.
And yeah, I kind of pushed him onto that. And it took him a couple of times to be like, I don't know. But now he's there and he's really good at it.
Look at him turning
If he
red.
loves it or he doesn't, I don't know. I know he loves editing because he's loved editing since before we even met. That's always been his jam. But I think he's a great producer and I think if he played with the reason I don't push Austin to direct more is because that's like pushing a painter to be a photographer. Like, if you love painting, then dive yourself into painting. I mean, like, that's a respectful thing.
Man, these
I love
quotes.
directing, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna dive into directing. I probably won't dive in as an editor because editing's not my jam, you know what I'm saying? But if there's a story that Austin brings to me, Austin's giving me ideas for films, man. So the fact that
unintentionally too.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he's like just his wheelhouse isn't going that way, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's right. Like he can tear apart a story and bring it back together in the editing room.
I think I mentioned too, in There's Still Time, there's this great like edited sequence where like you kind of cut back and forth from this tense moment, and the stuff you've done, like these awesome editing moments, man, where like they've come out as cinematic like moments for Tower, like honestly. So like I know that maybe like I don't know. I mean, everyone's different. Everyone's different. You're a storyteller, man. Yeah, and I see that. So, and plus, like we were talking about in the first take we did, for many artists, and I'm still in the fetus. Like I still don't know what I like to direct. I just know that I write how I feel or how I'm thinking. You know, that's how it starts. Yeah, that's how it starts. So like that's all I know. But with you, like I know that you're still developing, and so like I would say I would love, for me, I know, you know, if you don't want to do directing anymore, it's fine. But I would love to see you do one more. Just to see, because I think that, you know, you have two in your belt, man. And
that whole thing, Juan, you're talking about being in the fetus, like you can't be in, or you could be the fetus. Wow,
we are the fetus.
Look how existential De La O is getting.
We are the fetus.
When we were doing Depth of Field, which is
hooked on phonics over here.
So ambitious, right? I remember Austin came with the idea to me when we were sound mixing. We're outside the studio, and we were sound mixing Depth of Field, our first feature, and he pitched me the idea that he's working on. It is a feature. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
And
I think I had like 10 pages written.
Yeah, and I read those 10 pages, and I was like, oh, you could do this, this, and this, or it could go this way, that way. And
I gotta ask, is it leaning more towards Snowball or more towards askreddit?
Neither. It's its own thing. It really is its own thing.
Okay.
It's independent.
Badass.
Interesting.
It's something you'd expect a little more from Austin. Like, you could tell he's good at that because he knows that world.
Okay.
That's all I'm
okay.
So I think in terms of like being ambitious and in terms of getting that creative bug, where like I always tell people, like, if there's a story you just have to tell, you have to get it out, do it. Like, that's where that drive comes from, right? And I think Austin has that drive.
He does have that
drive. Whether he identifies as a writer director or not, when he gets an idea, it doesn't leave him alone, and he has to write it down, and he has to pursue it. You know?
Why don't you consider yourself a writer director apart from you know, like just having only 2 films in your belt? Like, apart from that.
I think that's the main thing. Like, I don't consider myself a writer-director because I don't practice it. I don't... Like that I did mention earlier, I don't remember if it was take 1 or 2 when you mentioned it. But directing's the one thing that you can't practice unless you're doing it, and that's understandable. But as a writer, you can keep writing to practice. I haven't written anything.
Well, I think it's important to note for the filmmakers listening out there, because filmmakers listening out there think, oh man, I'm an artist. I can't be I draw in pencil. I can't be a filmmaker. But there's a section for that in filmmaking. You could be a storyboard artist, and that's how you could be a storyteller. I think it's important to note that even if you don't identify as a writer-director, it's important to note that you don't want to. It's important to note that you want to do editing and producing. And like Aaron Sorkin, if you don't know Aaron Sorkin, he's my favorite screenwriter of all time.
Just saw the episode with him in on.
Oh, okay. So
Social Network.
Yeah, Social Network. He did West Wing.
I'm on Facebook because
West Wing. He's done a lot of stuff. He's like the master of dialogue. But he finally directed his first film called Molly's Game.
I didn't get to see that.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
But he did a film called Molly's Game. But he's always said, like, I'm a writer. I like to write. I don't want to direct. And that's okay. And I think filmmakers need to be okay with that. Like, some people, like, that's what they want to do. That's their dream, is to make a movie and be a director of that movie. Other people, it's like, well, my strength is in sound, and I love sound design, and I can really listen out for the good sound. And there's sound people, and that's okay. Film is a collaborative
and there are legends who are
legends.
Yeah, you know, like the guy who basically created the lightsaber, or like the noises of all that stuff. I mean, like I want to say his name is Bed Word or something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, he's a legend, man.
I think you're a prime example of that, Austin, and you should take pride in that. Like, hey, writing and directing is cool to do when I have a story I want to tell, but when I don't, I love doing this, and that's still filmmaking. You know.
Well, talking about the directing, how was the directing on set, dude?
Pretty.
How's it directing actors? Different from producing them, just, you know.
True.
That's what I found very interesting, because I always ran through my mind like, well, what the hell? Like, how do you know what you want and stuff like that?
Well,
So I think the way I did it was, I asked, like, Kyle did a fantastic job with this role. He didn't need a whole lot of direction. Just kind of told him what I was envisioning. But more than anything, to me, I looked at it as like a collaboration.
Right.
Knowing the story that I wanted to tell, knowing the story not the story, but the way he wanted to portray his character. So that was definitely new to me, and I wish I could have, I don't know, practiced or done something different, kind of prepare for a little bit more. But it was definitely interesting, and that's why I'm glad that we have the Tower team, because everybody's there to help me out. I feel like I was a lot more lost on this film than I was with doing Snowball again, just because it was something that was completely out of my realm. And not only that, but working with somebody that I had barely met.
Yeah, that's challenging, right?
Yeah, because like when I did Snowball, Jeremy, we've worked with Jeremy before. I've had that relationship. Brandon too. We worked with Brandon before, so I knew him on a personal level. Beto, who played the Fred in the film, who's the bassist for Edison's Ear,
and it was the star of.
You know what's funny?
No, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Yeah,
sorry.
you're in trouble.
I always mix those two
watch
up.
out, boy.
You're in.
Yeah. Well, anyways, he's the star of You're in Trouble, which episode coming in a couple of weeks.
That's gonna be fun.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna come lit. No, I'm joking.
Again,
pissed
is
at
somebody I knew on a personal level. Worked with my dad, which was interesting. Michelle, we've worked with before, so working with somebody like Kyle, who I've never worked with before, never even knew. Really, I didn't know how much of his limits I could push.
Oh, that's
not
true.
as an actor, but as a person. So that made it very challenging, in my opinion.
Did you get anything from Carlos? Did you like?
Yeah, he kind of helped me out a bit, but more than anything, and this is no slight to Carlos, Eric was the one that helped me out a lot.
Really?
Eric was my DP for that same reason, since he was originally going to direct, and somebody.
Y'all did some cool stuff with
Shout out
the
to Eric. Hell yeah.
Actually, yeah, you guys had a fight scene in this. And
Yeah.
I remember. I want to say you blocked it, if I remember.
Yeah, I kind of let Eric take control of that
he
scene.
did
I don't know
kind of
if you
block
want
it a
to
bit.
mention on the. Yeah. I don't know if you
Yeah,
wanna
there was
mention
this cool thing you guys. Yeah, go for it.
I mean, there was blood, there was knives, there was. I mean,
And it was all safe.
I kind of gave Eric free control on that. I don't know if.
Yeah, it was a big knife, and then you told me
machete
all
type.
was you just take care of that scene. I'm like, all right, so. I think I wanted a low angle, like in a crooked.
You went. I think you went shoulder rig on this one.
Yeah, a little bit. I think I just fell on the floor. What was it? I'm trying to remember. Like I'm trying to play the scene in my head. Like so.
We shot this.
Yeah,
over
we
a
had
year
like
ago.
something in
Yeah.
the. It was kind of like on point right there because we didn't have a whole thing. But like I had an idea. Been playing all day. It's like all right, it's gonna go like this.
Those are usually the good ones, yeah.
Yeah, and then like I used like I think a frame like from the couch to block a certain part, and it looks like he's stabbing him, and then I just had the Alberto just twitch like he's getting stabbed.
Yeah.
And the other guy too, like the same thing.
Yeah.
Just stabbing on the side. And it was just all camera tricks, just
having been there, you guys had to use the environment to sort of like show that someone was getting stabbed. I don't know if you remember how you guys did it.
Yeah, because I think we did like in a certain way. I think from his person point of view.
Yes.
Where he gets stabbed, and then I switch, and then when he brings out the blade out, it's already like bloodied.
And then the couch too.
By the way, him licking the knife was all Kyle's idea.
Oh, that was. I do remember that. Can I lick the knife? I was like,
Sweet.
go for it. I do remember that.
So that was pretty interesting, and I think more than anything, I think that
was a fun set.
Yeah, the altercation with my dad also was pretty fun. Fun fact though, with my dad, when we were doing kind of like the last scene of the film, when Kyle walks out of the apartment, and my dad is laying down, and you see his arm, assuming that he killed him. And what it takes, my dad just laying down, flipping off the camera.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
What was the biggest challenge, I guess, that you kind of had trouble with, and how did you overcome it?
Besides the actor,
Right.
I think handing over the footage to the editor.
Oh, who was your editor?
It was Luis, right?
Oh, really?
Or was it Daniel?
How did that feel?
Well, I mean,
Might have been credits. Let me look at
Yeah.
That's a
How
very
did that
good
feel?
question.
How did that feel?
Coming from an editor.
Yeah.
Coming from an editor.
I think it was Luis.
I
'cause
have the.
you know what? It was Luis because originally Luis was gonna DP, but he was gonna be out of town to DP, so I gave it to him to edit. It felt weird, man.
Luis Moreno
Yeah, it
Ramirez
was
and
Luis.
yeah.
He kind of did principal assembly, and then I went in, which is something we
Of
don't
course.
advise at all. I kind of did final touches on it, and
You had
were
to.
you
it
scared or worried?
was weird, man, because it was something that
You've never done before?
Is it because you don't think you could have done?
You both are creditors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Luis did principal.
That's how I
summary,
felt
and then
when you helped me edit the last of the documentary. I was like, I've never like.
I still have no sympathy for directors when I edit though.
No, please don't.
Yeah, no.
Please don't. Because I
Damn, you
like
also
that.
helped
I actually
him?
like. No, yeah.
On his?
I was like scared, dude. I was like, here? Like it just felt weird. It felt like me giving you my baby. Or
Yeah, I was all like, here, don't fuck this up because
No,
I'll fix it if you do.
I felt comfortable,
No,
man. With
you
my
really
footage with
shoved
you,
it.
dude, I was like, yeah, man. Do what you can.
That was the weirdest thing I've ever had to do. I don't know
feel you,
why,
man.
but I felt like is that for Snowball, same thing. I gave it off to Daniel, but
You still have
this
to.
isn't a slight to nobody, to Luis. I'm sorry, Luis. I don't mean it's in a bad way. I think just because at the time I had more of a trusting relationship with Daniel,
It happens.
because
It
I've
happens.
sat
You
with him and
know.
edited, I didn't feel nervous with Snowball. But with this one, handing it off to Luis, I've never sat down with Luis and edited. So I think that was a more nervous thing than anything
It's
else.
human.
That's
it's
how I
human.
felt with you, but now I feel more comfortable with you editing my stuff because I'm like, well, I've already been on by your chair and I could trust you, so it's like it's cool. How do you develop those kinds of relationships? Like trusting people,
Just
trusting your
getting a
editor.
chair and putting it right next to you.
I think trust with the editors, I think just has to be built on the collaboration standpoint of even if you've never worked before together, you have to trust them because they're doing it for a reason. They know what they're doing. They chose that path in their life for a reason as well. Like you can go to a new doctor and you're going to trust them because that's the path that they've chosen in their life to continue through, and they're not going to do something. Exactly. They're professional. They're not going to do something to
I still
mess
gotta
their
talk
own
to
name
him
up.
once or twice before, you know.
Well, yeah, obviously, but
Exactly right.
Coughing.
but obviously, you got to get to know the person. But that's what it is, because it's not only. Say if I hand something off to you, I have to trust you because you're not just worried about my name; you're worried about your name as well.
Yeah.
You're hoping that.
Exactly.
Some
Yeah.
people might be like, I don't care, right? Let me try what I can.
Yeah, and you can usually tell that if they're really looking out for you or not.
Exactly.
True.
Here's an interesting question, man. What's something that you've always wanted to dabble with? Besides editing and dabbling.
Wow.
Well, keep it film related. We've all won 3 chicks, 'Cause I know you've worked on a music video, commercials. You've done a couple commercials. You've been working a couple commercials.
I think I've dabbled editing wise in pretty much everything that I could have.
dude. Something.
I definitely want to learn animation.
Ooh.
That's something I've always wanted to dabble in.
What do you mean, like do a cartoon or?
Learn animation, possibly do a cartoon. But what I think holds me back personally, I think more than anything, what interests me is not necessarily the drawing, but the engine of it, like throwing it into an engine and animating the drawings.
It's hours.
Yeah, that's something that's always interested me.
Personally, me too, dude. I've always been like interested in animation, dude.
And same thing. I can't draw,
The creativity.
and I don't think I can draw the characters, but I'd want to go in there and do the grunt work of animating,
like
the
moving it, making it.
Yeah, throwing them into the engine, whatever engine
Oh.
it is.
I'm with you, man. Me too. That's always been an interest.
That'd be awesome. If one day we did like an animated movie.
We've talked about it, but we just don't have or know anyone. If you're listening out there and you're an animator, hit us up.
Hit us up.
We actually have an idea we want to turn into an animation.
Should we shout out a certain fan now that we're shouting people out? I don't know their names, but you would, right?
Hold on.
Somebody hit Carlos up, right?
Well, they hit the tower
The
page.
tower
bro.
page, and I think from listening to or watching Precognition, right? They felt inspired enough to make us some posters for some of our films, and it was really cool. They were really awesome posters.
Yes.
So yeah, the kind gentleman that kind of sent us a message, just sent us a couple fan posters, which was really cool.
Which is
Shout out,
awesome,
man.
dude. That's
Yeah,
our first
man.
fan, right? Like, right, who's like interacted with us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
My mom's been the first.
Aww. Well, we love your mom.
The guy's name is Christian Yokomoto Medina. If you guys want to look him up on Facebook, he's got his page, which is In the Mind of Yoko. He actually shared the posters on there, which we thought was really cool. We'll be sharing them on our page.
It's a scary mind to be in.
Which means he didn't have to. He was just a hobby of his. Just
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were kick ass, man.
And you know what? It's something I wanted to bring up when you brought earlier that the whole filmmaker thing, after seeing a couple of exchanges of messages with this gentleman, he used to be a filmmaker, but now he's really gotten into the drawing of posters and marketing.
So how you
and
were
stuff
talking
like-
about that. Yeah.
That's really good, man.
It's awesome.
So, What was the reception with Ask Reddit?
I think
Those are the tough ones, right? Like,
I think it went really well. Everybody really liked it, but I always got the same question: "Are you okay?" What was going through your mind?
It's because behind every idea, there's something true to it, man.
I don't know. My dad thought I really wanted to kill him for a while. So
It's the hero's journey.
He would walk to the.
That's why he was
restroom
flipping
just
up the
like-
camera. It's like, kill me, bitch. Try me.
but no, everything went pretty good. I still
Solid.
can't watch it again to this day, and it's no slight or anything, but I think it's a matter of that, like how actors can't watch themselves on the screen.
Yeah, we were talking
Kinda
about
the
that.
same
Jesse
way.
Eisenberg, even
Dissect everything.
Adam Driver recently walked out of an interview when they showed a clip of Marriage Story. So
Why?
just because
He couldn't watch it?
Yeah.
He doesn't like watching himself. And the interviewer knew and did it anyway.
Oh, see, that's why I was gonna be
screwed
like,
up.
okay.
Oh, we didn't hear that. No, I was gonna say that I was watching a while back a YouTube channel, and one of the guys who was giving tips on how to go into a 2-day challenge for the first time. One of the things he was saying that he does every year, like his mantra, is that right before he goes and like they start the competition, is he'll always rewatch last year's submission. And not so much because he's trying to get inspired from that or get like details, but it's just to kind of keep yourself humble, because I think a lot of times we can think, oh, I've already gotten to that level that I want to be at. But we end up, like either over flattering ourselves or not looking at our mistakes or not looking at what we've done. But it's kind of an important job. I mean, like I've done little projects here and there that, in the end, I'm like, okay, that could have gotten a lot better with what I know now. But rewatching them kind of shows me either where I've progressed from or things that I still do that, can always be like something to improve on. So, I mean, it's difficult to watch your stuff, but I think it's also an important part of the journey,
That's what we did with you can watch it on the documentary we made.
Good stuff,
a towering awesome. The towering documentary. We
Very
watched the
Tower
tram.
40,
We watched the tram, and I remember when we watched it, I remember like just being like, okay, cool, like they're learning and stuff. But obviously, you guys did it just to be like, hey guys, remember we pulled this off. We did this. So,
Are we gonna do it? This it's already coming up, dude.
We can't talk
I'm
about that
down.
right now.
Let's do it.
So I mean, with the editing, I'm kind of the
We
same
can
way.
retire undefeated. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
leave it.
Be a
Anyways.
pull a Kobe.
Anyways, with like editing, I can still watch stuff that I've done in the past editing. There's times I even amaze myself like with what I've done. Not trying to.
No, that's true, dude. You gotta.
But then again,
that's
there's
why you keep doing
time.
it. That's
But
why
then
you keep
again,
doing
there's times where I'm like, oh, I fucked up there. I shouldn't have done that.
it. Yeah.
So
I feel you. What do you think is the biggest piece of advice you could give to somebody when they feel that way, like in order to keep themselves?
For all those first-time directing editors out there,
Exactly.
what can you say? All those kids who are like, they just throw me in a closet with a computer and I do this, but I want to be a director one day. Like what? Or at least I guess at the first, being it's like one of your few times directing. What's the biggest encouragement you could say?
have a team behind you.
I preach that a lot for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just have a
True.
team behind you, because to be honest, if I didn't have the team that we have with Tower, I would have never directed. And don't get me wrong.
Edit it to you right here. Just edit it.
No, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Because like when I was younger, like I just assumed nobody would want to do like camera work, and I've definitely tried to like rally people around. I've tried to do the Tower group, but nobody like.
I was the same way when
Yeah.
I was your age too.
And so now I realize it affects me in my current days, because whenever like I try to do something, I forget that I have a team, and I forget. And even though I haven't directed something yet, but it has affected me. So like if I could go back in time, I'd probably tell Juan, like, dude, find a team, even if it's not gonna last you forever.
Go out to El Paso a year earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dope. But no, yeah, honestly, like like find a team and learn to develop those relationships that we were talking about.
I think that really helps, because like even me, like I've wanted to get to that point of like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, I'm doing like film stuff, but before meeting you guys, like not having anybody around, you're just kind of like, well, what's the point in investing time and trying to learn how to like write or try to practice like with your camera or microphones and all that if you're not going to be able to like go and produce anything? But then now, like with you guys, I've been feeling like, oh, well, let me see where I can explore and all that. So now I've been like writing and having some like dreams. Hey, Ma!
Damn, I had a question. I forgot. Shit.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say like Tarantino has like a quote where like when he was younger, he was like trying to learn everything, and he was like, nah, man, chill, like just find somebody who's really good at that stuff, so that way you can worry about what you want to focus on, and that's writing scripts and such. And look what happened. I would even say, man, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that what this team at one point did for you, like early on in the stage? Like they were like, "Nah, man, you focus on your scripts and we'll."
Not for that long. No.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that was always the goal. Is like anytime we talk to somebody and they want to get involved in the film medium through us, like they've seen Tower's work and they want to join or whatever. When they get involved with Tower, the first question we ask them is, "What are you into? Like, what do you like? What's your strength? Like, do
That's
you
not
like?"
what you asked me. You said, "Am I willing to get naked or not?" That was
Well,
the first one I remember.
hey, they're pitching me a really good script. I'm not gonna lie. It stars me in a bed. And naked.
Read the first page. I like it already.
Oh, but that really is our first question to everybody is like, what's your strength? Like, do you like directing? Do you like writing? Do you like, what do you like?
That's true.
And whatever they like, that's where we want to utilize them in. You know, if they're like,
Or start
no,
them
well,
off
I don't know anything. I've never been on a film
funny.
set. Then, hey, well, you know what? Let's get you gripping. Whatever area you fall in love with, tell us so that we can put you in that area eventually.
Because usually people start, intimidated,
Yeah.
kind of like shy. So it's like, what are you good at, or what do you want to do?
True.
Start with that.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of more of the key is to find what people love.
Right.
Because if they love what they're doing, man, they're gonna do the job right.
Yeah.
Whereas if you force them or put them if you stick them in sound and they don't like sound,
Right.
Half-assed
it's
it.
kind of they're gonna have that.
No, that's true. That's true.
All right, well, going back to Austin, just to let the audience know a little bit more about you. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Ooh.
What's 3 movies that kind of not define, but could get an insight into how you
You are.
are creative with your work?
Land Before Time.
Sharknado 2, Sharknado 3.
Land Before Time.
Perfect timing, dude.
Ah, man.
Or the first 3 that comes up. That you're watching the TV and it pops up and you're like, I have to watch it. Or
Why you gotta do this?
Yeah, no. It's just the first 3 that pop up into your head. Like it could be from now or from back then. Or one at least. Give me one, brother. It's because one's too. That's why I put 3. So
This is tough.
you can have a horror, a comedy, and a.
horror. A horror. Okay.
Well, I mean, obviously.
I already know your 3.
Yeah. You should have at least one.
No. You do it, but I know your 3.
What are they? I don't even know.
I'd say like in terms of what you love in editing and what
This
you.
is for the audience, man, so they can
Yeah,
see who
yeah,
Austin
yeah.
Young is. What's going on in that brain? Give him one. Give him one so you get.
It's a city in Texas.
Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a deep
That's
one.
actually my favorite film of all
That's a
time.
deep one.
No,
dude.
not that Warrior. Warrior with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton. The 2 UFC fighters, the brothers.
So if you could ever think of a script like that, that's definitely something.
Oh, yeah, that's something I would direct immediately.
Warrior. Wow. Okay, I'd never.
Because it's a sports film, but it's more drama than anything.
Yeah.
I think in the directing realm, it'd be Warrior. In the editing realm, I remember what makes
Oh,
it.
that's an even better question.
Yeah, like in the so like directing, editing, and producing, right?
Right,
so
right.
directing, I think Warrior. Editing, I know
Baby
what
Driver.
made Baby Driver made a huge impact on you.
That should have won editing. That
Oh,
should have won
editing,
editing.
the music.
Well, hold on. I want to. Yes, you're right. It should have won, but I understand the decision as to why Dunkirk won. Okay, so Nolan is my personal favorite director.
Oh, okay.
So obviously, a lot of people thought I would want Dunkirk to win. Baby Driver should have won. The reason the Academy gave it to Dunkirk was editing 3 different stories in 3 different timelines
It's just
into
it
one
was
sequence.
a war movie. That's why.
Because one of the timelines took place over a day, another one a week, another one a month. Yeah.
Right.
So it was a day, a week, and a month all put together on one sequence, and you never get lost in that story.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I talked to Carlos about this before I saw Ford v Ferrari this year. I really thought
Amazing.
Irishman was going to win for editing.
Really.
Yeah, because it
Oh,
kind
sure,
of
it's
Won it?
similar.
Ford versus
Yeah,
Ferrari
yeah.
won it?
yeah, and it
Really?
deserved it.
Yeah, it was good editing.
Yeah.
I loved that movie.
But
man.
again, that was before I saw Ford v Ferrari, and he was like, dude, I don't know. And I was like, no, Irishman's going to win because they gave it to Dunkirk years ago.
I low-key thought I might be just the odd one out, but I thought Christian Bale should have won the Oscar this year. Just because I really loved that character, man. Nah, man, watch that movie, watch that movie, and focus on
I
him,
love
man.
Christian
He
Bale,
played.
man.
Oh, can I shut his mic off?
Christian Bale's a chameleon.
Bro.
Christian Bale's a chameleon,
Exactly.
but he's a chameleon. But Pesci and Al Pacino, to me, come on, like
You're right. You're right.
like they. Joe Pesci to come out of retirement and still pull off a role like
He
that?
did. He really
Gave
pulled it
him
off.
A
He
little
pulled it
bit
off.
more, for
Oh,
sure.
God.
Pulled it off. But come
I
on.
mean,
But
come on, Brad Pitt.
I'm just saying. What do you mean,
Come on,
Batman?
Brad Pitt.
What do you
No,
mean,
Brad Pitt?
Oh, I thought you said Batman. I was
Come on,
like,
Brad Pitt. Like, come on.
Brad Pitt was playing Brad Pitt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I don't even know what I'd pick for producing.
for producing, yeah, it would be a good.
I don't even know.
Because you have superstar producers too.
You do.
man.
Yeah.
You have superstar producers. You have like Jason Blum, who's killing the game right now.
Yeah.
From Blumhouse, right?
Yeah.
You have what's the guy Jerry Bruckheimer who did a bunch of the original
Bad
action.
Boys.
Kevin
Yeah,
Feige.
man.
When he started off with
Like
Marvel.
there's key producers who are superstars, man. Lawrence Bender, who's
Did you not know?
Tarantino's.
Kevin Feige?
Harvey Weinstein.
Stop.
Damn, dude.
That man was not a producer.
Right in fucking jail, bitch.
That man was just a rich guy. Started a company.
I don't know.
No, but those are good ones, yeah. But the producer's the only one, man. Like, one that you can see would put a lot like work into the design, the set, clothing.
Linda Ops has a really good book called Hello, He Lied. I haven't read that in years, but like I remember she one thing I noticed about producers is that they kind of like some like directors, they have their style of what they make, and she's produced Contact, Interstellar, things
I
of that
love
nature.
Contact. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
It's just
Is there,
imagination.
that's kind of I guess where I would see, like, do you have a certain producer that you kind of like?
I don't think I do.
No.
Unless you can think of one.
So the one that you would recommend is Warrior to people.
Oh, yeah.
So they can know a little bit of what you're
Yeah.
going for. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty dope.
It's my favorite film of all time.
What can we expect from you next?
I always ask that
Towers.
question. They don't want to give enough.
We're working on some stuff. Hopefully this year will be out. We got a big project coming up. But personally, like on a writing directing aspect, there's only one project I'll ever work on, and from here on out, and it's still in the works. I don't know if it'll ever get done, and if it is, it'll be years before we see it.
And then you got another podcast, no? You got another.
Yeah.
Give a shout out to the Locomotive people.
So I got a podcast that I run with 3 other people in the locomotive world, which is Phil Baki, Mika Puentes, and Christian Canales. It's
Check them
called
out.
Seriously Loco.
Seriously
On Twitter, Seriously Loco EPTX. Listen to us on all podcast platforms. We talk El Paso Locomotive football, and
Austin talks a little bit more over there than this one. So.
yeah, I really do. But yeah, if you guys want to check us out, you're soccer fans, hit us up.
Would you ever want to do like a soccer film? Kind of like Goal?
No.
I love
I
that
love
film.
Goal.
I love Goal
that
too,
film.
but
El Chanfle.
I
I
as
love
a producer
Goal,
and editor,
but-
I could see why it would be hard.
no, not even
Just-
that. I love Goal, but soccer, basketball, football movies are overdone.
I feel like we haven't seen one in a
The
minute.
coach speech is overdone.
The coach piece is overdone.
Just Ben Affleck did the new one that I really
Oh,
want to
I
see.
really want to see
I've
that.
heard that he's given like the best
Yeah.
performance
Kind
of
of like
his
a
career.
Coach Carter kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
I do want to
But
see
he's
that.
right. I mean, it's kind of oversaturated. That market is oversaturated.
It is. It is.
I mean,
Just Goal, dude. I remember Goal.
Goal was
Goal
terrific,
was
especially
awesome.
because it has to do with Mexicans and immigrants.
Exactly.
Hell yeah,
It
that's a
kind
good
of
movie.
hits a little
It's
closer
like
to home.
Good
the
movie.
it was like the unofficial Chicharito story, if you think about it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, so, like those types of sports movies are overdone. I don't want to give too much away, but the thing I am working on is
No, don't do it.
yeah. So
Dang, it's so close.
it's
I know.
something that
so close.
all I'm gonna say, the genre that it's in is not done very often, and that's what's driving me towards it. And I really want to bring it justice.
Yeah, and Austin and I have talked about how there's only like 2 other movies that we've seen
that are big.
that are big. Well, no, forget that they're big. That they actually did it right.
Yeah.
And that's what interested
Mhm.
us about the story he's working on.
Damn you. All right, Delo.
Word of the day.
What are the dude?
Good word of the day, man. Is it for Austin or is it for the general public?
So, do you know what it means to have somebody who flounders?
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
They linger, like
They are somebody who struggles with or stumbles plunging into movement. So basically, somebody who's just like really awkward at like existing.
Just like. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like
My bad again, dude.
yeah, like if you're hosting a podcast and you like kind of forget to press record, but you hit every other button except that, you're somebody who flounders.
See if you can edit that in. Like for the first 5 seconds, though.
You know what? There's video evidence everywhere.
I know, right?
I'm really
different angles.
It in, like
It's
you know how,
us
like,
all.
our
Like,
podcast starts after the music. All I'm gonna hear is. All I'm gonna show is like the GoPro and it's gonna be like, sorry guys, I haven't pressed record yet.
Yes.
And then we'll start it to the.
I love that. Yeah, just keep that in. But yeah, somebody who flounders, so keep that in mind.
Nice.
I don't see a red thing glowing over there. Are you re-recording?
Oh my god! Oh,
Imagine.
no.
I actually got scared.
No.
So flan, that's
In
pretty
fact-
good word of the day.
See, every time I come in front of the camera, something always goes
Ew.
wrong. And something always goes wrong on this podcast. The first time, I'm not gonna name anybody, but they didn't press record on 2 different cameras, so we had 20-minute gaps
Was that me?
on separate times
Sounds
that
like
we didn't
me.
have certain angles.
Sounds like me.
See, they're
Eric,
fighting
was
back
that
there.
Eric?
but
you got one job.
It was actually both of them. I wasn't gonna call them out, but I guess I will. One camera didn't record for 20 minutes on one angle. The other one didn't record for 20 minutes on the other
The
angle.
first one?
Yeah, the first time I was on. So every time I'm on this podcast, something goes wrong.
Nah, you good.
This time somebody didn't press record.
You know, the one time that I was there in your position, Juan, and I just remember feeling the panic of like
Oh, me
something's
being
gonna
back there?
fuck up. Yeah. And it was
Good,
just,
yeah.
see, passing any job that you have onto somebody else, it's terrifying.
It's
you know?
terrifying.
So Austin, any last words for your new fans?
Any last words?
The audience that's
Get what you just
gonna watch you in your locomotive.
Nah, man, just keep doing what you do. Don't be pressured to do what you don't want to, and trust me, follow your dreams. It's worth it.
Yes.
No matter how old you get, no matter how young you are,
Trust your editors.
trust your editors. They know what they're doing.
And by the
And
way,
hold on, I got one more thing
Go
for
for it.
all you directors out there.
What's up?
Don't ever grab the mouse out of your editor's hand.
True.
Boy,
They
you
will
get
punch
shot.
you. I have tried so hard to not try to punch 2 people who have done that to me.
This man runs a
I think I've done that
editor's
too. My bad,
Illuminati
bro.
over here.
And also don't grab their dicks.
Oh my gosh.
I really hope that's happening.
Jesus.
Oh man.
The
This is
director's
consensual.
PSA never.
You got 23 years, bro.
Careful, dude.
I'm not trying to go for that Jordan effect.
Jesus.
But yeah, PSA to all directors: never touch your editor's keyboards or mouses without their permission or asking them first. Don't just rip it out
Ask
of
for
their hands.
consent.
Yes, ask
Yeah,
for
never
consent.
never rip out anybody's like keyboard or anything like that. I know this. No, it's
It's like an ex-girlfriend grabbing the wheel.
No,
and
like
she's mad.
no. Side note, like my girlfriend, she works at she's a barista at a coffee house, and she's had customers who will come in and then say like, "Oh, where's my discount?" And she's like, "We don't have it. What discount?" And she's like, "Oh, they just usually press this button to like reach over and try to touch the screen."
Oh.
Like it's a thing. People can be mean.
People are jerks.
I know. They just
It's
think
all
that
the
they
Karens
own
in the
world.
world.
Does she have like a fork laying around just in case?
Yeah.
All right.
That's crazy though, man. People just
Yeah, people like want to
Feel like
just like
they-
say like, oh, I know what to do, and then they just like try to touch the screen. And it's like, no, you don't do that. You,
dude,
you
just
She
tell her
should
to
get,
yell
like,
rape.
a pot of piping hot coffee
Fuck
next
that,
time
man.
and just
She's reaching over.
man.
put some rice in on the iPad next time.
Especially with the coronavirus, man. We've been quarantined here since last Sunday, dude.
Oh yeah.
I know.
The
We
worst
haven't
part is
left.
It's kind of stinking.
Oh, dude.
The worst part is coronavirus isn't even here yet. Carlos just told us we couldn't leave.
Carlos just locked it.
Final word.
Hey, final words. I think we're reaching an ending to this episode, right? Just a reminder, please be hygienic. Wash your
hands,
fucking
sanitize.
hands.
If you are the people who are
please-
buying toilet paper to have in bulk and sell,
Don't be hoarding
Slap
toilet
yourself.
paper.
you are affecting the
You
people.
need everyone else to be
Yes.
clean too. So
Yes,
fucking
exactly.
clean your ass.
They're
Hey
not a
man,
wipe.
my cousin has a newborn. I mean, he's probably like 3 months at this point, but he went to go get diapers as you normally could, and they're out. He can't get diapers for his newborn, man. Like, don't be that
Those
people.
people
Don't be
never-
that-
Yeah, know me that people.
Don't be that.
I saw videos of people selling toilet paper out of their trunks. If
Yeah,
you're one
like,
of
don't be those
people,
people,
has
man.
special placing out for y'all.
I have a special out of my trunk. 2 for $5. Buy now.
I know, right?
Let me get two.
Oh, you do? Hold on, guys. We're gonna put pause.
No, stop.
Where do I click to get the discount? How do I?
We'll put a link in the link.
Link below discount.
Oh my god.
But yes, that's the end of the show, the episode. Hope you guys loved it. Click that
Really
like
quick
button.
before you wrap it up, listen to us on
Comment.
Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, listen to
Leave
that.
your 5-star reviews. We have one new viewer from a different country. Can you guys guess where it's
Kenya.
Botswana, America.
from? Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, our first Mexican.
Viva Mexico,
Nice.
cabrones!
Chihuahua.
Woo!
No way. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell
You
yeah.
know what? Just like also, if anybody's listening to this podcast and has any questions on anything film related and all that, yeah, please reach out.
Yeah, comments,
Facebook,
Please do.
Instagram.
anything.
Send us more fan art.
Try to make this thing better.
No, yeah, we along with sharing the stories we have, we also want to help out in any way, just people to get inspired and keep making films. Yeah.
For sure. Keep writing.
That about does it for these towering filmmakers. As always, keep writing your scripts, keep pushing through your writer's block. And if you haven't heard it from someone other than your mom, then you'll hear it from us. We believe in you and all the hard work you're bringing to your moving pictures. We'll see you guys on the set.
Love you guys.
Bye-bye.